Welcome to Theo's Flight Sim World Pro Mission Editor Guide number 2. Before continuing with further guides, we're going to go over the different windows in the Pro Mission Editor. That's what this guide's going to cover, nothing else. I mean, some minor things, but nothing major. Let's get to the mission. I'm using someone else's mission for this demonstration because it's large and has quite a bit going on in it, including errors. The first window is over here. This is our mission overview. As you can see, with a large mission like this one, it's very helpful for getting around quickly. You can left click anywhere and it will move your main window to wherever you clicked. Exactly where you clicked. That's pretty much all this is good for. And that's all I use it for. In the main window, you can navigate left and right by using the scroll bar, up and down by using the other scroll bar, or you can move up and down using your mouse wheel. Scroll up, scroll down. Also, you can zoom in and out by holding down your control button and scrolling up to zoom in and scrolling down to zoom out. And that's it for the main window. A lot of stuff happens in there. If you add and remove stuff to your mission, it's largely done in the main window. To the immediate right of the main window is the world map. You can move this around kind of how you want. To zoom in, find where your mission is, which will be a bunch of little white boxes. Put your mouse over it and scroll up on the mouse wheel. And then just keep doing that. And note, wherever you have your mouse centered, I'm going to move the mouse once this finishes loading. Let's move the mouse over to the right. I zoomed in and not centered where the mouse was. Let's drag back to where the mission stuff is. We're just going to left click and drag. And there's our mission stuff. And we're scrolling up and zooming in and scrolling out and zooming out. That's it for the world map. The next things we're going to cover are the action palette, the recent edits window, and finally, attributes. Let's start with the action palette. In here, this is the action palette right here. I'm scrolling up and down with my mouse wheel. In here are all the things that control what a mission does. All of the actions you can add to a mission, mission data information, triggers, setting cameras, using AI, setting areas, scenery objects. I've never used races. Everything up through races you can drag directly over. Let me find a good one. Let's find an object activation. You can drag directly in to your mission window and place it like so. And that works for pretty much all of the actions as long as you drop them in the proper location. Recipes don't drag like that. You just have to double click them and then move them. For example, let's say we want to enable ADF audio. I double click that and then I would take this node and drag it to wherever I want it to go. And that's how you place recipes. Now note, that's it for you can also sort your action palette by actions or just triggers or just scenery. And if you don't like these weird names, you can click on the friendly names button and it gives you more reasonable names for what the nodes are. I got used to using the non-friendly names, so that's what I use. Now let's go all the way over to the left. In the bottom left we have our recent edits. Note that I just added the SIM activation thing and I added I added the ADF audio tab. Those were my 2 recent edits. This helps you keep track of what you've changed, so if you want to go undo something, it only tracks what you've done most recently. So if you want to undo something that you've just done, that's the way to go find it. I've almost never used that window. And finally is the attributes window. I need to click on a node so we can see more information. I double click on any node in the main window and it opens this information in the attributes window. This one is let's see, what is that? It's a proximity trigger, which has various functions, which I'm going to cover in another lesson. Note that everything is black over here, so there are no errors here. Most of your work gets done in the main window using the action palette and in this attributes window. Okay. A less commonly used window up here to the right of action palette. Here's action palette. There's a tab that says model controls. We're going to left click on that. Important to note about this model controls thing is this edit models checkbox. If you want to drag objects around on your world map, this needs to be checked. If you don't have it checked, when you drag something and try and place it, it's just going to snap back to its original location. So make sure you have edit models checked when you're moving things around on the world map. At the top, there are display models and an edit camera box. The important one is display models. If you have FSW running, you can connect the PME to FSW and it will show up with this green crosshair. It'll turn green, showing that it's connected. And area models you have placed, like say this rectangle area, will actually show up physically in Flight Sim World while you're flying it, so you can see your models that you're placing, which is really handy for placing areas and missions. But that's pretty much all I do with the model controls. I've never messed with anything else. I've never messed with anything else in here. All right, now let's go to the bottom window with the 5 tabs. We are going to start with list of speech. You left click on the tab to open it up. This shows all dialogue text for this mission along with their .wav file names. Let's double click on one to bring it up and then zoom in on it and scroll over so we can see it better. All right. Dun -dun. There are 2 buttons at the top right of this window, copy selected and copy all. Why would I need those, you ask? Okay, well, say you want someone else to record dialogue for you, or you don't want to have to go through looking all of your dialogues to create audio in an external program. First thing you do, you select the audio files you want. I'm going to use Control-click to select random ones. Shift-click if they're sequential. Copy selected. Open up a text editor. Oh, where'd mine go? There we go. And then paste. And look at that. We have a list of speech that we can send to a voice actor with the lines that need to be said and the names for the files that need to be saved to. They send you back the WAV files. Ta-da! You have created real voice audio from a voice actor. Handy to use. And of course, copy all selects all of the audio. That's what that's for. Really, really handy. Next, we're going to go to the list of errors. Left click on the list of errors tab. And note there are quite a few errors in this mission still. There are 3 types of errors. Style. Let's open one up. Style errors show up with the node title in light blue. And if I double click it to bring its attributes window up, the style error will be marked in light blue. Style errors do not necessarily impact your mission and don't really need to be fixed, but they remind you of a node has more detailed options available if you wish to use them. Here's a couple of examples. We're looking at an airport landing trigger, and note that Runway Filter is blue. What Runway Filter does, you can select, where did it go? It's not letting me. Normally, Runway Filter. There's a tab in Action Palette called Runway Filter. Let me find it. All the way down in Mission Data. Right there, called Runway Filter. If I drag this to this Airport Landing tab, and then I specify a runway, open it up. Oops, wrong one. Open its Action Palette. I can specify a runway number. And as long as that airport has that runway, it will eliminate this runway filter error. The only purpose for using this particular style error is if you want someone to land at a specific runway, they will have to land at that runway. If you don't specify it, they can land at any runway at the airport and the trigger works fine. That's where it's a style error and not relevant if you don't care about it. Next, I'm going to create a dialogue action just to demonstrate what happens with dialogue, just to show you the dialogue action style errors. There's 2 of them. Let's go here. Dun, dun. Let's just type something in here to say blah, blah, blah. All right, now note the dialog action turned blue, and we've got a sound file name say is blue, so we have a style error. What this means is that the dialog action will only show blah 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 in the mission, but won't play any sound. Reverse, we select a sound file, remove the text, and we get the same blue error, only it will play the audio but not show any text. So again, it's a style error. If you don't have anything selected, you're going to get the red, which means it's an error, which won't do anything, and we're going to cover errors in a minute. The next type of error is warnings. Oh, let me delete this. I don't need that dialog action anymore, so we're just going to press the delete button and make it go away. The next type of errors are warnings. Title nodes with warning errors have yellow titles and yellow text in the node's attribute window indicating what needs to be corrected. These might impact how your mission flies. I always try to move all warnings. If I can't clear them, I'll then fly the mission to see if it works okay. If it flies fine, I don't worry about it. Otherwise, I've got to do the work to fix it. Here's a couple of examples. Let's go to one of these POIs. This is a point of interest. Point of interests have cycle orders, this number down here, that are used to indicate the order you want them to show up normally. So each of these needs to be a unique number. In this particular mission, they're all set to 0, so all the points of interest show a warning because the cycle orders are not unique. Sometimes this impacts missions, sometimes it doesn't. It's a trial and error thing when you're using it. I always try to put them in the sequence I want them to appear. You just change it. So in order to change it, just double click on it, go to your cycle order, put a new number in. And since nothing has number 1, the warning went away. The other type of warning that you'll see commonly, let me find it, is when an object action isn't called. Let's zoom in on this so we can make it bigger so we can see it. And we are looking at this very top node, or even the one below it, right here and right here. Note these object activations are both yellow. What this means is there isn't, this one in particular, because the new object state is false, this is never called by anything. So as a result, even with these two nodes being in the mission, they will never do anything. That's why it has a warning error. It's not going to impact how the mission flies, but if you wanted this to fire for some reason, you need to put it in a location where it's called and used by something else. But that's why it's a warning. You should probably fix it, but you don't absolutely have to. The last thing are errors. Errors show up as red, and they almost certainly will impact how your mission flies and may even prevent the mission from loading properly. Errors need to be corrected to make sure your mission works properly. I know of one absolutely certain exception to this, and I'm going to show it to you. Let me find the error. Attach effect action. What this is, you can attach effects to scenery, like fire, smoke, a bunch of different things that are in the PME. In this particular case, he's attaching chimney smoke to a trout cabin, so smoke comes out of the cabin, which is pretty cool, huh? But you'll note it tells you you've got a warning here. As long as you have the boxes filled out, or you have an effect name, an object selected, and this attach point thing done, as long as those are set, this is going to work, even though it gave you an error. So if you're ever attaching effects to things, understand that this error will show up. Don't worry about it. Just make sure it works in the mission. Other errors you might commonly see show up in the flight file. I'm going to scroll down in here. I want to go all the way to the bottom. And we'll note right now our current flight file, the title's in the red, so there's problems with it. The first thing we go over to our attributes window, double click on it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. If you double click on a node at the top, it's going to edit the title. So double click in the main body, and that opens this attributes window. The first thing we see is the aircraft name is in red, and it's got some weird airplane name you've never heard of. In order to fix this, just open the drop down and pick a proper airplane. And boom, that error's gone. But wait, we've still got red. This is another error that isn't necessary to fix because your mission will still load within FSW. But if you don't update a description, it might not load properly when uploading to Steam. So I strongly recommend you enter a description to eliminate this error. And those are the three basic kinds of errors that show up in the PME. Errors will be covered in more detail as we encounter them in later guides. Next is the list of debug tab. I've never used this. I don't know what it does. I'm sure it's for debugging things, but I've never made the debugging function in this work. Next is a list of comments. When you create a mission, I strongly recommend adding comments to your nodes. Because right now, we have no idea what's the intent of these nodes other than what their mission titles say and what their object activations are. So in order to add comments, just right-click on a node, click Edit Comment, and type in your comment. You're asking, why should we do this? What's the point? And look, it showed up in my list of comments, and it's right there. Well, the reason to do this is if you describe in more detail using comments what your node is intended for, you can use a list of comments to go through and find, okay, what did I want to do with this node that's not working right? And what can I do to fix it? What do I want it to do? This tells me what I'm trying to do. You go find it. If someone else is looking at your mission, like you need help with it or something, they can go through your comments and see what you intended to do and try and help you that way. It's a tool for understanding what each node is doing in your mission the way you wanted it to. It's just comments to help you. I strongly recommend using them. There are none in this one. This was an imported mission. And finally, we have the Find tab. The Find tab does exactly what it says. Find things. Note the drop-down currently shows any type. With any type listed, it shows every single node in alphabetical order that is used in this mission. And they are listed by whatever title the person chose. Like I'm going to click on Activate POI Area, and note he typed in Activate POI Arrow as the title of his point of interest activation action. You can shorten your search window by opening a drop-down where any type is and picking any of these things that are listed. Like, let's say we do flight file, and it shows only the flight file. Let's say we do airport landing trigger, and it shows both airport landing triggers. Let's say we just want to search around. So we want to find anything that had the word dialogue in it. And bam, it shows 3 items that have dialogue in them, and all of them are titles. Note, it isn't searching for the action of the node like dialogue action. It's actually searching the title. And that's what shows up down here. There was one other thing I was going to do here. Oh, I was going to search another word like object. Because object will also show up. Let's open this node. We have a camera here. And you're saying, okay, well, where's object showing up? I don't see anywhere it says object. If you look in the attributes window, it says relative to object. That's what it's found. If I change this and I make it relative to position, that disappeared from my find window because I changed it. Put it back to object, and it's right back in the find window. So that's how it finds things. It searches for things in the attributes tab and in your title. All right, that's how find works. The final thing to cover is repositioning windows. Often, we don't need all the windows. So how do we get rid of stuff? Let's start by showing how to remove things. The first one we're going to remove is the world map. The only way to remove the world map is go to Windows and click on Map, and it goes away. If you open this up, I'm going to bring it back. If you try and click on the red X, it doesn't do anything. It just changes views around. So go to Windows, and then right now, see how it froze and it's not doing anything? Right click, click left click again, and now we're back to normal, and we're going to close the map. Every other window in here, except your main window, can be closed by clicking the little red X's at the top right of each window. So I'm going to close all of them except main. Every last one of them. And note, each tab, if there's multiple tabs, has its own window that needs to be closed. Like down here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows. So I've got to close 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs to get rid of it. This is important. I'm going to close the PME and show you something. and then reopen it. So I'm not saving it, I'm just closing it. Now let's go, now we're going to reopen it. This will take just a second, because what's going to happen, the PME remembers what your last windows were and keeps them that way. So we open our mission and look at that. It only has the main window, remembered everything. Okay, well, I don't want to work like this. I can't do anything here. Okay, so let's bring all of our windows back. Go to the Windows menu, click Reset Positions, and yes, and it will put all of your windows back the way they were in their default positions, which is very handy. You can also click and drag windows around. Just right-click, make it floating, and you can move it wherever you want. And you can do this with any window in here, every last one of them except main. You can also resize your windows just by dragging them. Left-click and drag. See, I made my, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to reset positions again. And that's it for Theo's Flight Sim World Pro Mission Editor Guide number 2. Have a good day.